In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
we investigate a new SIM card designed with motorhomers in mind called IQ Go.
In the news, we've got updates on the ETIAS scheme and EES. Stay tuned for details.
Indeed. And we answer your questions on Fiamma bike racks, incentives from dealers and insurance for adapted motorhomes.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com.
Now, we always say it, but please do remember to follow on your favourite podcast app. Or if you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe and click the little bell. Brought to you by arrowbasecreative.co.uk.
So in the news today, ETIAS. What is it?
So this is a new system for going in and out of the Schengen zone. So these are all the countries in Europe that we are no longer a part of.
Schengen?
Schengen.
ETIAS? EES? I'm lettered out.
Let already?
Yeah, Schengen zone is not Ireland and not the UK because we've Brexited, but most of the other countries on mainland Europe. Isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And ETIAS stands for the European Travel Information and Authorization System. So basically what it means is that to go into the Schengen zone, you will need to buy a visa waiver. So it's going to cost you €7. It's going to last for 3 years. Everybody needs to do it, but if you're under 18 or over 70, there is no charge. But you're going to have to spend €7 at some point before your trip, enabling you to go into the Schengen zone. But it's been delayed again. It's now coming in early 2025. So this was going to be introduced in 2021, I think. It's been delayed, and it's delayed again until spring 2025. Now, part of the ETIAS is the entry-exit system, which, you know what, I have not seen many people talking about this at all. So we've talked about it before, and I've talked about it on stage, and I've asked for a show of hands from the few hundred people in the room, and one person would put their hand up as heard of the entry-exit system. Put simply, to leave the UK and enter the Schengen zone, you're going to have to flash your passport, have your photo taken and your fingerprint taken. The fingerprint will be taken every 3 years electronically. We're not going to get the black ink out and get your fingers all dirty. It's all done on a screen, but you're going to have to stand at a machine and give your fingerprint, have your photo taken and submit your passport. And you have to do the same when you leave. And this is about security in the EU. They want to know who's in and who's out. The issue is it's going to take about 1.25 minutes to process each person. It's going to cause massive delays. Now, this was being introduced on October the 6th, and I have to say it seemed like a pretty robust date at the time when that date was given, and again, it's been delayed. And guess what? It's now November 2024. So we're not unsure of a precise date, but it's been delayed for a month again, and I would wager it's going to get delayed into next year, but we'll see.
And the speculation in the press is it's all about the border controls and the infrastructure that we've got there. When you go to America, if you've been to America, you go through exactly this process, and a plane load of people takes about 2.5 hours to process. But if you've got loads of cars turning up to cross the channel, say by train or by ferry, then you can imagine what's going to happen unless you have 100 desks doing it. And the French aren't interested in doing that. They say, zut alors, you Brexited, it's your problem, and we haven't put those booths up. That's how I understand it.
Well, yeah, that's not entirely true. There are booths. I mean, at St Pancras, there's loads of them, and not enough. The challenge I've got is I'm in my motorhome with my family, and I've got, historically, we just waved the bunch of passports out the window. We spoke about this before, didn't we? Now I'm going to have to get out and go and queue up at a machine, park the motorhome, all get out, go and queue up, do the thing, and then get back in the motorhome, carry on. It's going to take ages. They are talking about technology where they pass you a tablet and you pass that around inside the vehicle. That makes sense. So you look at it, get your photo taken, put your hand on it, get your fingerprints done. I get that. That's a great idea. But this is a lot of technology still yet to be probably invented, introduced, and it's just not been thought about. So November 24, I think, is optimistic of introducing such, frankly, a barrier to travel, but we'll see.
Remember that malarkey before the Brexit vote saying, they need us more than we need them? Sorry, you're crossing borders and it's for security, and they vet you, terrorism and robbery and all sorts these days, which is why you've got a chip in your passport. It all takes time. Yeah. Like I say, sorry about that, but that's the new reality that we are living in. So Matt, you're saying it's
looking at the early part of 2025, it's going to get pushed again, don't you think?
I put money on it. They will be delayed again. The infrastructure is just not there. That's the ETIAS system, so the visa waiver, the €7 fee. I bet they introduce it or try and introduce it in July, just as everyone's trying to go to Europe on holiday. That would just be insane, wouldn't it? And the likelihood is it will get postponed to autumn 2025. I don't know this to be true. At the moment, they being the government, are saying it's been delayed to the spring 25. Go to etias.com and you can find out more.
Yep. Don't quote us on this. We're speculating. So next time you're in the pub or at the bar on the campsite, just say, I don't know.
Can I say that on here?
Sorry. I haven't a clue, mate.
It's time for this month's Campsite of the Month with Alan Rogers. Welcome, Alan.
Hi, Matt. As you well know, my name's Rob.
Well, anyway, Alan, this month we're off to Spain. Tell us more.
We are indeed. We're going to Catalonia and we're going to Vilanova Park. It's sort of located halfway between Barcelona and Tarragona. Beautiful part of the country.
It is a very beautiful part of the country. But what award did this campsite win?
So this was the runner-up in the Exceptional Services and Facilities Award. I think we covered the winner a couple of episodes back.
Hang on, it was a runner-up, so it was lost.
No, lots of entries into this category. They just came second.
Okay, so best of the losers. Tell us more.
Yep, so this site's open all year, which makes it ideal for long stay winter holidays. It's perfect in the summer as well.
Yeah.
It's been named as one of the best sites in Spain. And here you go, you'll like this. It's been noted in the application for the award that they've made imaginative planting of trees and shrubs throughout.
Imaginative planting? What is imaginative planting? I can't even say it. What is imaginative planting of a tree?
Well, they've used trees and shrubs throughout the site to sort of delimitate the pictures so that you get a little bit more privacy than you might.
I see.
Yeah.
So it's where they've planted the seeds is imaginative, not the planting itself.
Absolutely,
I'm with you. Okay, so we get lots of privacy on site. Handy if you're a naturist. Is it a naturist campsite?
No, it's not a naturist campsite,
okay.
no.
Okay.
No. So yeah, it's really impressive, the facilities that they've got on the site. They do entertainment throughout the high season. The pool complex is amazing. They've got slides, water jets, a wellness centre where you can get your massage, jacuzzis and a gym, mini golf, tennis, all sorts of sports.
You get bang for your buck here.
You do indeed. You'll like this. They've converted the 17th century farmhouse into a Catalan restaurant that serves local food.
Very nice.
So it's a bit more than paella and Spanish omelette. It's all seafood, creme catalan, which is a bit like creme caramel.
Creme caramel. We love creme catalan.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very nice.
350 touring pitches. All of them have got electric hookups. Many of them have got water and drainage as well. So with that privacy, you don't even need to leave your pitch. And if you wanted to head off site, then you've got Barcelona, about an hour away.
I was going to say, this is really close to Barcelona, which of course is famous for Gaudi.
Yeah, absolutely. Park Güell, Sagrada Familia.
Ferrari World.
Well, yeah, that's Tarragona, so that's about an hour further south.
Okay,
but you can hit Tarragona quite easily. And there's Port Aventura theme park as well down there as well.
Yeah,
so,
which is
lots
massive.
to do. Yeah, absolutely.
It's huge. So when is it open, Alan?
This site's, as I said at the start, it's open all year. So you can either head there for your summer holidays or you can head there for a long stay in the winter.
And what sort of price are we talking? I guess it flexes through the year, does it?
It does, yeah. You can get some really good deals if you're going for a longer stay. So if you're staying for a month or so, if you've got that luxury of that time, then in the winter you can get some really good deals. But yeah, it's sort of you'll like this again, top end of the middle range.
Top of the middle, so not bottom of the top.
Absolutely, yeah.
So not only were they a loser, they're top of the middle.
Yeah. But still, it's an absolutely stunning site and a great place to take your holiday.
It sounds amazing. Yeah, I can see why you've brought them to our monthly feature. So tell us the name of the campsite once again, Alan.
Yep, so this is Vilanova Park, and that's in Catalonia.
Brilliant. So if you want to find out more about all of Alan Rogers' award-winning sites, you can do so at mhmp.info/Alan Rogers. Cheers, Alan.
Cheers.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
And it's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. The main topic of today's podcast, why are SIM cards such a big topic? We're talking about something fairly new, IQ Go. Can you explain, Sir Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Getting internet on the move is a huge topic. It's a presentation I've been giving at all the shows this year. And one of the big questions that when you go is what SIM card do I buy? There's a choice of hardware, which we're going to unpack in a future episode. So stay tuned for that. We get a lot of questions asking us to do that. So we are going to do it. But we want to talk about this particular SIM card. So there's lots of different types of SIM cards and bundles you can buy. Frankly, it is really confusing, even if you know a bit about this. But there's a new player on the block, a new kid on the block called IQ Go. Now, it's part of a company called IQ Mobile. It's been set up by an independent guy, an entrepreneur, a year or so ago. And they've years and years of experience in the telecom space. And they launched IQ Go as a really, really simple way of buying data for you on your travels, particularly when going into Europe. I'm delighted to be joined in the studio by Mr. James Kellogg. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It's great to finally have you here.
A year ago we started the conversation.
It was a year ago, and I've had one of your flyers on IQ Go in my bag. It's all screwed up, so I've got a new one now, nicely pressed.
I was going to say, were we going to mention the screwed up one that you showed me earlier? No.
Yeah, honestly, it's been at the bottom of my laptop bag for over a year since you first gave it to me.
That's how important I felt.
You are a priority, James. So the spotlight is on you today.
Excellent.
So we are going to be talking about IQ Mobile and IQ Go, and we want to talk about Telet, for whom you are the sales manager.
Yes.
So these are all brands that I believe we are going to start seeing more and more of on holiday parks and around and about Europe as we go off in our motorhome. But James, can you just start by telling me what is IQ Go?
IQ Go is actually a mobile data proposition from IQ Mobile. Mm-hmm. And it was designed specifically around the holiday consumer, so those particularly in the UK and the EU, and provides flexibility in kind of working with how you travel. So mobile data networks and mobile networks as a whole, they will provide a monthly SIM, and you'll get your data allowance. And we don't travel every month. We don't want data all the time when you have a motorhome or a caravan. So, kind of suppose where the product came from originally was we having people I know travelling and using motorhomes and caravans. I only wanted data for short periods.
Right, okay.
So IQ Go is a subscription service where you pay for a year, you get your SIM, it's alive for the entire year. But then when I go on holiday with a caravan, or my sister or my family and friends, and they go away for 4 days, they just add a data bundle, and it lasts for 30 days from when they buy it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And is that a main point of difference of IQ Go from the other players in this market?
Yes, the pro-ratering of data, which is, so if you were going to, say, Vodafone or O2 or EE, you'll buy a data SIM and it will last a calendar month. But it will end. So if you buy it on the 15th of July, it will end at the end of July.
On the 31st of July.
Correct.
Okay.
Whereas ours is, we say your SIM card lasts all year, but if I bought a data package on the 15th of July for 100 gig, for example, I've got until the 15th of August to use it. So I don't pro-rata my data.
You get a full 30 days of use, not the end of month.
Yeah, because we don't want to buy data in advance ready to go on holiday. So I'm going on holiday tomorrow, I want some data, bam, add it on. And if I run out, I'll top it up like a pay-as-you-go.
Got it. And is that unique then to IQ Go?
The flexibility around it is, yes.
Right.
So we've really worked on tailoring that. So I say we, but with Peter, a very clever human being who owns the network, has created that tariffing structure so you can. There are other players that do similar, but they're more of a subscription service, and they don't have the ability to top up as flexibly, and I don't believe they will all pro-rata their data.
So can I mention some of those other brands?
Yeah, of course you can.
So we've got brands like Smarty, people would have heard of.
Great product, yeah.
Pop It is another name that people Google and come up with.
Yep.
How does IQ Go differentiate from those brands?
So we have a flexibility around our, say, the data usage and allowance and when it comes out.
Right.
But so Smarty is a really, and this is where they say I can, as I don't work for IQ, so I can be a little bit more free with it. But Smarty is great in the UK, really, really good. They're on the 3 network, but where they will fall up against Pop It and IQ is their EU footprint, so that they have a cap on their limits. So I think it's only 12 gig in the EU.
So this is fair data usage you're talking about?
Yeah, which is always that small asterisk that you see at the bottom of the paper, which no one ever bloody wants to read, right? And that's there. But thanks to the changes around Brexit, that those elements will come in, and the dot at the bottom becomes very important. So Smarty's great, UK. If you're UK usage only, can't really go wrong with them.
Okay, and Pop It?
Similar to us. And then same core network they're utilising. So they're using the EE network core. So
Right.
IQ sits on EE.
Yeah.
So does Pop It. But our flexibility that we're providing on IQ, and I keep saying our, is that we'll prorata and you can top up as you go.
Right.
Okay. So Pop It, their terms and conditions might be a bit different from ours. So it's worth looking into.
Okay.
For the clients.
And so what's IQ Go's fair data usage cap?
So we are allowing 90 days in the EU, which is kind of in line with Brexit.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Which is the maximum time you spend in the Schengen zone, and the cap is basically the amount of data you use.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So if I buy 100
gig,
can I use that in a day?
you can, yeah, and then top it up.
Right. Okay. That's unusual.
Yeah. So if you run out, we would recommend topping it up.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can use all of it in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
Because that's not always the case, is it?
No. So
Right.
it's worth. I suppose it's worth learning your data allowance and,
Yeah.
and data usage.
So reading the small print becomes really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, got it. Brilliant. So can you explain to me then the pricing model of IQ Go?
Yeah. So the plan was SIM cards will go into a motorhome. So it'll go into some of these clever texts that I think you've got on the wall over there, and or into a MiFi device, and it'll sit there all year round and it'll be active and it'll be live. So for that you pay £20 a month. So your SIM is then live and ready to go and ready to use whenever you need it.
Right.
But then you can then buy the data bundles as you see fit, which is £10, £15 or £20, and
Yeah.
that gives you 10, 30 or 100 gig.
Right. Okay.
And the reason behind the design of that is, I don't know. So for example, my sister, she has a lovely caravan. They go away randomly. They'll go, we're just going to go away, because caravan users can do that. They just go, and then we're going to go away on Friday, and it's a Wednesday, so they can just top it up. And so they might only want 10 gig for the weekend. Just so they have some comfort. They'll have their mobiles, but they want some comfort. Because they have a SIM in their thing, so they want to watch TV or iPads, and they can share it as a MiFi device. But then there's times where you're a bit more strategic and planning, and you go away for a week and a half. Then you've got the 30 gig, and then you have those who are going to go away a lot, traveling, and they'll probably use a lot more. So they might go to the EU, and so we have the 100 gigs. Or those who are intensively streaming lots of devices at the same time.
And 100 gig is £20.
Yeah.
So you're paying a £20 a month.
No, £20 a year
£20 a year.
for the subscription.
Okay. Right. I think you said a month. So it's £20 a year.
Yes.
Every year.
Every year,
And then you just buy the data bundle.
as you see fit.
10, 15 or
And
£20.
Correct,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry, that was my bad month.
That's all right. I'm sure
£20
that's what I
a
said.
year.
Okay, got it. And you can turn it off at any point. You just run out of data and you just leave it.
Just leave it. You have to turn it off.
Okay. And
Don't
how
turn it on.
And how do you buy data then?
You just go online and buy it. So you can buy it from your phone. One of the advancements that says IQ Go was started about a year ago and has just flown off the shelves.
It has. I mean, the name's everywhere. I see it in all the Facebook groups. People talking about, I use IQ Go. What's that?
Yeah. Yeah, which is, I suppose, why I'm here.
That is why you're here.
Yeah, pretty much. So shut up and talk about it. So you don't need to turn it on and you don't need to turn it off.
You just leave it.
You just leave it.
Leave it running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you need the data, you add the data.
So what about going into France then, or Italy, or Spain, anywhere in the Schengen zone?
Yeah.
This is where you have a USP as well. Tell me more.
Okay, so when they're travelling, the major UK mobile networks will have a fair usage policy. So Vodafone Node 2, traditionally it's about £25 gigabytes a month of
Yeah.
EU usage. If you buy 100 gig from IQ, you get 100 gig in the EU. If you run out in that month's time, you just add it up.
And is there a charge then? So when I use my Vodafone
You pay
phone, I'm paying a price per day
Yeah.
to use my data plan, a couple of quid or something. Is that not the case with IQ Go?
No, it's not. No.
So how does that work then?
So if you say you run out of data, you just want more data, you add it on. That's it. There's no daily rate, there's no week rate, there's no month rate. It's you pay for the data, but the boring bit is the network that we're running on is a European footprint, so we don't have that daily charge that we have to pass on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So we're not buying it off Orange France. We're not buying off Deutsche Telekom or Telefonica Spain. We're utilising the network core that our parent network owns.
Okay, so you have no daily charge,
No.
so you don't pass it on.
No.
Brilliant. Which that's a real USP, isn't it? So if you're going off to France for your 90 days or even a week, then definitely an IQ Go SIM is worth considering.
100%. Yeah.
The big question is how much data are you going to need, and only you can answer that based on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And we're going to revisit that in a future episode. So stay tuned for a few weeks' time. We've got my presentation, which I've been giving at lots of the shows on getting great Wi-Fi on the move and choosing a SIM package, and also the hardware. So which hardware might be a best fit for you and your motorhome or caravan. So cool. I think I've got it. I think I understand.
You got it.
Yeah. But you're also here wearing a different hat, not just IQ Go, but you're the sales manager of a brand called Telet.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a relatively new brand in the UK.
So into the sector that you're going to be aware of, and your consumers of the show will be aware of. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're moving into the holiday park sector quite aggressively.
Now, this is a brand that we are going to see a lot more of. James has been a busy boy in the background, really growing the Telet name across the UK.
Yeah.
Now, tell us, who are Telet and what's it going to mean for us as consumers when we arrive at a campsite?
So Telet is a mobile network core. So we're the same as O2, Vodafone, and EE, and all that. So sorry, it's Virgin Media O2. So we're the UK's 5th mobile network. So we have the same Ofcom regulations and protocols as they do, so we have to follow. But our heartbeat is all about the rural community and all about the sectors where there is no mobile coverage or internet access. So we can provide high-speed internet services and data connections via the 5G mobile network.
Right, okay. So one of the complaints we always get on a campsite, and I'm guilty of this as well, is you think, I'm not going to buy an IQ Go SIM, just linking this back to what we're talking about. I'm going to use the Wi-Fi on the campsite. And it's awful. It's painfully slow. The connectivity to it might be terrible. I can't get a signal. And it's often 9 times out of 10 I've had a bad experience. But how do you fix that? What are you doing then that's different?
So, bear in mind you're talking about a lot of products that are companies that have been delivering quite traditional or legacy type solutions, and the advancement of technology now in the delivery of internet speeds is growing so fast over the last few years. So I don't want to do a disservice to some of the other people out there who provided a good solution, but now our demands are greater. So as I think we were chatting before this about how many consumer devices per household has gone from 5 maybe about 10 years ago, and that's mobile devices. Now we're looking at 25 to 30 connected devices in the property. So people's demands on what internet services they get has greatly increased.
Yeah, well, that's even the case in the motorhome.
Yeah.
So I've got a phone. Everyone else in the motorhome with me's got a phone. There's probably a couple of iPads around, and even our heating systems connect now to the internet, so we can send it a message to update the hot water or something. So you're right. There's an increasing number of devices. But why is it a challenge? Why is it that I can't get great internet from a campsite at the moment?
Because they can't necessarily give you a level of quality of service to your device when it's a blanket cover.
Right, okay.
So if you have an internet service providing public Wi-Fi, they are going on what they would hope is peak traffic demand. And that could be a Wi-Fi hotspot that has maybe 100 people connecting to it at peak time. But actually, these are not always the case. So there could be 500 people connecting to it, and I might have my phone connected to it and my laptop connected to it. So I might be one person, but I'm connecting 2 devices.
And this is about the number of devices, not the number of people, isn't it?
Exactly. And then you don't know what I'm doing on my laptop. I might be having to stream a video call for work, which is often the case. Or I could be downloading and streaming a podcast whilst out and about and making the latest Motorhome Map one about Wi-Fi kit.
Obviously.
And listening to myself to see how bad I was. But all these things that we have to now demand on the internet network. And so parks and consumers' demands are greater. And we're doing it in an area where, and the reason we're specifically at Telet looking at holiday parks and caravan sites is we understand the demands, but we also understand the restrictions and some of the caveats around permissions to do things on land. And why do people go to caravan sites? They go to these places because they're rural, they're beautiful areas.
But this is a challenge then of a campsite in a rural location. It might be an area of outstanding natural beauty, and digging up a 10-mile trench to bury a cable to get internet there just isn't going to be allowed.
No.
English Heritage are going to say, no, you're not doing it.
Yeah, so that's
there's a castle in the way.
That's a really good way. So I went to a castle with my kids, and we were actually staying at a holiday park in Lake District, and we went there, and they had an amazing wood castle, and the kids were there for like 2 hours, and it was lunchtime. and there was a really nice cafe, but it was all contactless payments. There was no mobile coverage.
Right.
There was no internet. And
let
I
me
had no
guess,
cash.
You didn't have a bank card on you either.
No.
You had your phone.
Yeah, because I don't carry anything on.
You're a nerd.
Is he allowed to say that?
Yeah, of course I am. Maddie's nodding.
Okay.
But you like me, I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't carried my wallet with my bank cards in for ages.
No, because technology is advanced,
Yeah.
which is why the internet demand's advanced.
So you couldn't make a payment on your phone.
So I couldn't buy a drink. I couldn't buy a cafe. So we didn't stay that much longer because basically because we're going to run out of it. So, and that's some of the business advice and marketing advice I'm saying to people. So when I'm talking to these holiday parks now and saying why do they want to look at this technology over digging up fibre and stuff, where some haven't got the luxury of planning ahead, they're trying to retrofit. When we're talking to people about their demands, is we're in a comparative society, so we like to compare ourselves to one else. That's where social media is really driven businesses. It's like, why is my business better than that business? It's because I'm comparing it, and they're always going to look at social media for that. So if I'm going to go on holiday, and the consumers of holiday parks are going to go there, they want to, how many times have you seen people go, my Monday morning meeting's going really well with a cocktail on the beach somewhere? If they haven't got internet to send that Instagram reel or that TikTok video, then they're going to go nuts, and it doesn't have the same impact 2 days later or when they've gone to the Wi-Fi connection. So people need coverage, and they need it now.
Yeah, immediacy.
Yeah, so if your park's not there saying, look where I've just checked in, then you're losing free marketing. You're losing someone's appeal to say how good your place is. And we love to tell people we're offline and we're free, but we need to be online to tell them that. And so if you have no internet connection, you can't tell them you should be like really jealous.
The irony of that, James, is not lost on me, believe me.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Believe me. So to holiday parks then, who might be listening to this, I know there's lots of them that do, and even to consumers listening to this of the holiday parks, how do people find out more about Telet?
So they can reach us. We have our own website, and they can see some of the stuff we have on there at tel.et. They can reach out to myself. I think you're going to put my details on afterwards.
They're in the podcast description, yeah.
Perfect. I should have known that. Would listen to podcasts enough. But yeah, they can reach out and we can talk to them about that. So consumers will see more and more things growing up. So because it's a mobile network, we're starting to do some of the advanced stuff like QR codes so people can download. So I have a Telet eSIM. I won't go into what the eSIM is. That's fine. But it's basically another SIM on my phone. So every time I'm in a Telet site, I can now just get 5G data as a hotspot. So I still get Wi-Fi calling on my Vodafone or IQ SIM. Yeah. I get iMessaging and WhatsApp. But I'm still using my main network SIM, but the data is coming from Telet.
Yes.
So that's where, as a consumer, if I go to a Telet site and I can give a QR code, then that's some of the benefits that 5G mobile network can provide, rather than some of the technology out there. But if they've got fibre now, they're doing really, really well. And I'm not going to knock that because it's a great technology, and it's, they can't compete speed-wise for that. Yeah. But if you're retrofitting, then our technology is really, really good.
I get it. Okay, so look out for the Telet brand at holiday parks that you might be visiting in the very, very near future, if not now already.
We've got some up and running, so I'm really excited.
And then just rewind into what we were talking about earlier. We're talking about IQ Go. Yeah. So this is buying the SIM when you want to go to Europe and you want to push it into your router. Yep. So you can remain connected without a daily charge. Correct. For using your data allowance in Europe. Where do people find out more about IQ Go?
Well, there's a Hello IQ website, .co.uk, and they can go on there. But I would say one thing only advice I'd pass on quickly, if that's okay, is whether it's IQ or not, is some of the feedback around the devices they're utilising. Okay. So it's because that's one of the things we get questioned a lot on is, I've got the SIM in, plug and play.
Not working, but
some of the MiFi devices they might be using are not automated, so it's worth checking that before they buy them. Okay, and if they are going to buy them, it's worth checking the reviews on how easy it was to set up.
So this is when you're buying the router.
Yeah.
The thing with the aerials. Yeah. Read the reviews on how easy it was to set up before you press buy.
Yeah, because some people don't know how to set up an APN, for example, and if it doesn't automatically set it up for them, then they're going to have to know. Like the team IQ are brilliant, right? And they're on WhatsApp and they're online to chat, and you can call them. They're really helpful, and they're UK based near Bath, so they're not far.
So
away
you
from
talked in capital letters. Then you said APN.
Yes. Wow, dirty words.
Basically, this is the code that the router needs to read the SIM and go, ha, handshake, I'm going to connect to the world. So sometimes you need to change this thing called an APN, don't you? I'm going to explain it. I know this is like sucking eggs for you.
It's fine, carry on.
But for the rest of us, we're not as nerdy as you, James.
Yeah.
But the point is, the team, I know Fraser IQ Go, you were saying he has about 400 user manuals for different routers. Tell him what user manual, tell him what router you've got, and he's got the user manual.
He's got the PDF somewhere, yeah.
And he'll
Poor
be able
chap.
to tell you what the APN needs to be.
Yeah.
So IQ Go's help is UK based.
Yeah.
And it's 1-to-1, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
really good.
you
And you'll get to know
first-hand
the
help.
guys as well.
Yeah, brilliant.
Customer reports and and to say TripAdvisor, but the customer reviews have been on Google have been really, really positive, and it's because they're genuine people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're launching an app, aren't you, in the future?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
IQ?
So IQ Go was started as and Peter was very reserved about how optimistic we were going to be with it. But motorhome users and caravan users have loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but one of the common feedbacks has been getting through to the team is like, how do I check how much data I'm having and things like that. So, the app is being designed at the moment. So.
Well, that's the big thing, is how much data do I use? I need to understand that so I can buy the right amount.
Yep.
You only know that once you start using it, and you can look back and see what you've used. And the other thing we want to know is how much I've got left.
Yes.
It's that kind of fear of running out.
Yes.
A bit like an electric car driver running out of battery. How am I going to make
you
it?
got that percentage sign in the back of your mind.
How much data have I got left? So having an app that does that would be really useful. When's the app coming?
I haven't got a time frame on you at the moment, but it is in the process right now.
Yeah.
And we will be doing mailers to all the clients to say it's coming and things like that. So
we will watch with interest. And
yeah,
you're at
we
lots
do.
of trade shows as well, motorhome industry shows as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So we're growing into those. So IQ in itself, in its own right, is going to trade shows. And Telet, we're at the NEC at the Motorhome Resorts Expo again. We've got a nice big stand, very similar size to this. So so we did really well last year, and so we've gone bigger and bolder this year.
Yeah.
Really excited, and so I'm really proud of what we're doing at Telet, and I'm
Brilliant.
really, really chuffed with how good IQ's gone. I've partied some of those Facebook groups, and I don't talk on them now. It's just everyone's just trolling through. And
It's becoming a really popular thing to go to. So it's great to have you here, James. Thanks for coming in and unpacking it and actually putting a bit of a voice and a face to these brands, because sometimes we perceive these brands are just faceless and they haven't got a personality.
Yeah.
They're not real people, but they are.
Yeah.
And this is a very targeted effort by you with IQ Go and with Telet. I mean, Telet's more the business end of it, for sure. But I think it's interesting that we're going to see that brand more and more as we go on all these campsites. And IQ Go is definitely a great resource, particularly if you're going to Europe or staying in the UK. So, James, thank you very, very much for coming in and giving us a little insight into what's going on in your world.
No, pleasure. No, thank you so much for having me. It's been really nice to come to the set and finally see.
You're actually in the studio a year on.
I know, and I never thought this day would come. I even told my kids one day.
One day I'll meet Motorhome Matt. Well, we've done it. So my kids are dead excited that I met James Kellogg. So there we are.
Really? Wow, he really talks some rubbish sometimes, doesn't he? Absolute garbage.
James, thanks ever so much for coming in the studio. It's great to finally pin him down. You know what? I spoke to James about IQ Go sometime around its launch, which was over a year ago. And I thought, this is a brilliant product. Would you come on the podcast? And he agreed. And it's taken over a year to actually pin him down. He's a very, very busy man. It's a brilliant product, a great brand, and it's growing astronomically at the moment. So, but the big thing is then, how do I know whether IQ Go is right for me as a SIM card? The key here is it works on EE, and you need to check there's an EE signal where you're going.
And there usually is.
There usually is. EE tends to be everywhere. It wasn't at the Royal Cornwall show. It kind of fell over. I think there was just too many people trying to get online, and that's a factor as well. But there's a brilliant website called signalchecker.co.uk, which I've used for years, and you can type in the postcode or the city you're going to, and it will show you of all the 4 networks who's got the best coverage and at what G level, so 3G, 4G or 5G. So that's a really sensible website. There's also another one called bibd.co, and again here you can put in the city or postcode that you're going to, and it shows you the coverage in colours. Really, really easy to use, totally free to use as well. So check that out, and then you can buy a SIM card that you know is likely to work in that destination.
Fantastic. Now, the thing is, we all need Wi-Fi these days, even if we're technologically Neanderthal in our outlook. But, with your mobile phone and with Wi-Fi, and particularly we've heard with motorhoming, caravanning, when you're around and on the continent, you need it. I was recently in Spain. It was £2 a day for me to turn on my roaming for a 24-hour period. That was with Sky, just for a mobile phone. Our producer here, Maddie, she was in Canada, £8 a day. So these things really matter. And saving some money is really important, isn't it?
Yeah, and it adds up really fast as well. You think Maddie was in Canada for 3 weeks, leaving that phone on, all the trip would have been really quite expensive just to get your phone online. So, yeah, we are going to be unpacking this weekend at the Southwest Motorhome Show at Sept and Mallet. So if you're coming along this weekend to the Warners Show, I am on stage talking about getting great Wi-Fi on the move. I will have a number of bits of hardware there to explain the differences between them. Some you have to drill your motorhome, some you don't. And I'm also going to deep dive a little bit into the different types of SIM card and help you make the right decision on which one to buy. And you're joining us as well on the Saturday, aren't you?
I'm taking to the stage with Matt Sims. Wow.
On Saturday, Keith is going to be on site as well. We've done loads of shows this year, and the number of people that say, "Where's Chris?"
Is Kevin not with you?
Is Kevin here? So yeah, Keith is coming to Sept and Mallet on Saturday. Now, are we going to try and do a live Q&A on our stand at that leisure shop?
I think we should.
So hopefully we can get a little crowd of people together, and our intention is to record a live podcast episode with questions from you. So if you're going along to the show, keep an eye on our socials. We'll be advertising what time we're going to do it and where. It will be on the That Leisure Shop stand. And also Keith is joining me on stage for my talk on preparing for a European motorhome adventure. We're going to do that as a double act. That should be a chuckle. You're going to wear your beret?
Yeah, I mean lederhosen.
Oh no, please don't. Not again.
Don't ask me where I'm going to put my salami. It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com. It's time for your questions, our Q&A, questions and answers, answers and questions. And first of all, it's Marius in South Wales.
Hi, Matt. Hi, Keith. Hope you both are doing well. Guys, you do an amazing job with your podcast. I have a question about the Fiamma bike rack. Currently, I am the proud owner of Roller Team 746 with the bike rack on the back of the motorhome. We have 4 bikes. 3 of them weigh roughly around 55 kilo. As you probably know, the garage in the Roller Team 746 is extremely small. There is no chance I will put the 4th bike into the garage. I recently spoken with some friends on a campsite and they said, don't worry. You can easily put the 4th bike on the bike rack as it should hold up to 75 kilo. Next year we are planning spending 2 months in Europe and we want to take our bikes with us. What would you advise? Would you put the 4th bike on the bike rack, or maybe you will put the bike inside the motorhome? Thanks for your help. Have a good day. All the best. Take care then. Bye-bye.
So what's your advice there, Matt?
You're absolutely right. The Fiamma bike rack normally is rated as a maximum 55 kilos. In fact, it says that on rail 4 of the bike rack on your roller team. The newer roller teams don't use Fiamma bike racks. They use a different Italian make, and they are a lot cheaper and I think flimsier. I don't know what the weight rating of those is. I did try and Google it before we recorded this, but I couldn't find the answer. It may be written on your roller team, but if you've got a Fiamma one, it would definitely say on there. My advice is don't overload it. It's tempting, I know. The reason is if you go over a speed bump, that weight on the bike rack becomes a dynamic load, and as it comes down off the speed bump, or if you drop off a curb, all of that weight is going to force into the ground, turning the bike rack into carrying about 100 kilos just momentarily, and it will bend the bike rack. I've seen this before. We've had hire motorhomes come back from France, and as they've come off the ferry, there's often a dip, isn't there? As you drop off the boat and you climb up the road back onto land, you can bump, and we've seen bike racks come back where they don't fold up anymore. And they weren't overloaded at all, just 2 bikes on them, probably weighing about 40 kilos, but
doubled when they hit that bump and it bent the bike rack. So just be very mindful of it. I would be putting it in the motorhome while you're travelling, or go and buy lighter bikes.
Thanks, Marius. Pete Yarnall's in Accrington. Hi, Matt. I've recently been to see some motorhomes at a nearby dealership. While the info they gave me was good and they tried to answer as many of my questions as they could, I was a little disappointed that they didn't really try and sell me something. They didn't speak to me about any particular incentive I might have to buy from them over another dealership. Do you mean a discount, Pete? It felt like they made no effort to sell me anything at all. Is this common? What are dealers likely to offer someone like me ready to spend about 80 grand with them as an incentive to buy? Or are the number of dealers so few and far between that they know if you want a specific model, they have you where they want you and have no real reason to offer any incentives? Any advice you can give a newbie would be gratefully received, says Pete. So, Matt, what's the answer?
It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Why? I don't understand this lack of customer service in our industry. It gets my goat. It really makes me cross. So I would just say, come to us, I'll say you something. Very happily. It's just probably that salesman, maybe they were selling double glazing last week, who knows. But the number of times I've had a personal experience of walking in a dealership to spend money and being totally ignored, and I'm sure you're listening to this, you've had the same experience too. It's not dead common, it's not every dealership, but I'm afraid it is the vast majority. And the last few years, of course, people have walked in to buy a motorhome. If they didn't buy it, there's 3 more people outside waiting to buy it. That's changed. And I think dealers are going to be realising this and going to have to raise their game and start trying harder. I think it's a very passive industry. It's not traditionally a hard sell industry. If you go to a show, you're free to roam and walk around. And dealers know that it takes people often a long time to make a decision, and they need to be left alone to view all the layouts and, as we talked before, and view all the different types of motorhome. But there's something to be said for, can I have some help? Talk me through this. But sadly, many salesmen are not paid to spend hours with you, educating you and talking you through the layout. They're paid to sell vans. So the moment you say, oh, we're really interested in buying this, they're interested in talking to you. So that's a sad reality of our industry, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and if I can just speak up in support of dealers, as Matt has just said, some of them might have been selling golf clubs last week, but it's difficult when you're selling on a forecourt or selling in a dealership, and I've come across it in other industries as well. When do you approach a potential customer? When do you ask that question?
Yeah.
Be straight. Are you thinking of buying?
That's right.
Have you got money in your pocket? You don't say that, but it's difficult. It's a difficult skill to learn, which is why when you come across a great service and great sales people, you always go back to them.
The worst question to ask as a dealer, and if you're listening to this as a salesman in a dealership, never ask the question is, how can I help you? Or do you want any help? Because you'll get no. Never ask that question. Ask them, have you got a motorhome at the moment? What type of layout are you thinking of looking at? Create a conversation. Ask open questions. This is the training I would give our team.
Absolutely, 100%. I learned that as a journalist at the BBC, where I was for donkey's years, and before that in commercial radio. Don't ask closed questions. Don't ask a question which somebody can say yes or no to.
No, have an open conversation. Ask a question that requires a sentence to answer. That's basic sales technique, first day of sales school. But I'm afraid most dealers, their staff, they're often not trained very well at all, if at all, and so don't know this. So there you are, some free education for you.
John Gowes in Bracknell. Dear Matt and Keith, I've recently bought an RS Endeavour second-hand from RS themselves. I'm disabled and the van has been adapted and costs £180,000.
Wow.
You could buy a 3-bedroom house in a lot of places for that. The problem is now insurance. I found one policy at £4,000 for the policy, which is outrageous in my mind. I appreciate it's an expensive van, but a top-of-the-range Contiki is only £500 a year to insure. but that is unusable for my needs. My dreams of life after this accident are being shattered because of insurance. I've watched your podcast on insurance and called the companies you've recommended, but still, it's with no cover. Any help would be greatly appreciated because the dream is slipping away over companies not covering disabled individuals like me. Thanks in advance, says John. And this is the thing of virtue signalling and hard business as well, I must say. Yeah, it's all very well saying, yes, we will accommodate disabled people or people with physical difficulties, but if the price of the insurance is too high, if you haven't thought maybe we should be offering this and transferring the risk to more able-bodied customers, then you're not really providing the service you should be.
No, quite right. There's two issues here. One is the value of the motorhome, and one is the niche nature of the motorhome. So I did speak, John, to a number of insurers about premiums and about cover level, and many do have a cap of 100k. And this is something where the insurance industry needs to catch up with our industry and how the industry is changing, because 100k, there's a ton of motorhomes over that value that you can now buy very, very easy. As you say, the top-end Swift Contikis are over that value, but many have a cap of 100k value. So that's a real problem. And then the other real problem is if your motorhome went up in smoke, or you wrote it off, is what it would cost to have remade and the complication of adapting that motorhome to your specific needs. And an insurer is going to shy away from that because that is complicated for them, and so they just see it as too high a risk. So it's dual purpose. So John, I feel your pain. I fear you will get insured at a premium price. This is going to cost a lot of money. I would love to know how you've got on, because it was a few weeks ago that you asked this question. Have you managed to insure it, and if so, what did it cost and with who? We'd love to know.
Yeah, it's all down to what things cost these days, isn't it? It's like when we go back to mortgages and people not being able to pay when the interest rate goes up by 1%, it's because they've borrowed so much money in the first place compared to, say, 20 years ago. The cost of the motorhomes has gone up by such a huge amount. And the insurers, as we've said it before, are insuring risk. They're taking the risk on. You're paying them to take the risk away from you, and it comes at a price. But as I said when we started this question, for John and for people who absolutely have to have these modifications made, is there any way of passing some of that risk on to the able-bodied, to the large base of customers, so people like John and John himself don't have to be priced out of the market?
Yeah, and talk to RS, because you're not the only customer they've got with a motorhome that they've converted at 180k. Who do their other customers get insured with? Perhaps they can go and ask them, and they will be able to help you. Coach Built GB are another converter of motorhomes, and Kate's super helpful there, and I'm sure she would have an insight and might be able to help you as well, John. But I hope you can turn this dream into a reality, because it would be such a shame that you can't insure it and you can't use it and you can't go and pursue that dream. That would be a real shame.
And I'm presuming, even though he hasn't said it, he's asking for fully comprehensive insurance here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you wouldn't want to risk not having fully comprehensive, would you?
Well, there is always third party.
He's just spent 180 grand on a motorhome.
Gets you on the road.
Well, if you can afford to crash it and lose it, maybe that's an option. That would definitely make the premium cheaper, but it's a lot of money to lose. If it caught fire, it would be covered, but if you crashed it into a third party, you're not insured on third party fire and theft. It's not a risk I would be taking.
John, thanks for the question. Do keep us posted.
Please,
on that.
yeah, do.
How do people get in touch with us then, Matt?
Please do, yeah. It's mhmp.info/ask Matt. You can click the orange button and record your question. You can listen to it back before you press submit, so you can make sure you're happy with it, and we'll play it into the podcast. Or if you're a bit shy and you'd rather we read your question, you can fill in the form and we'll read it for you.
And don't forget, when you record it, I can have a diddle and a fiddle with it and edit all the bits that you don't want in there. Don't worry.
You don't want Keith fiddling with you.
Or diddling. We will make you sound spiffy. Now, if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure you visit Motorhome Matt Approved. The directory is at mhmp.info/approved. A quick sentence, what is it?
It's a directory of all the brands, companies, businesses and products, many of which I have used for years, and I trust them and I can commend them to you. So if you're looking for a finance provider, or if you're looking for a tracking solution, you can filter there by the different topics and you can find a brand that I can recommend to you.
That's mhmp.info/approved. And if somebody wants to subscribe on YouTube, what do they do?
Click subscribe, simple as that, and hit the bell, and then YouTube will tell you when there's a new episode out. And our YouTube channel is brought to you by the lovely folks at aerobasecreative.co.uk.